So we got the story from Timcast.com. Jeweler launches anti-woke ad asking, "What is a woman? What is a woman?" This is a what's fascinating. I don't think this story is inherently newsworthy, but it is interesting that people are starting to push back and just begin to assert that women exist or that women are adult human females. The reason I find this story interesting enough to elaborate on is that it's a jeweler doing it. And why is a jeweler making an anti-woke ad? Well, jewelry, there's a very traditional gender norm in the purchase and delivery, gifting of jewelry. It is very often, typically, a male will buy shiny rocks to present to a female as a sign of, in efforts to woo said female.
And then he's like, hold this for me because I don't want to carry it around.
Well, I do think it's fascinating when you break it down to its root. It's like, I'm going to reference Chicken City. When you watch the rooster do the dance around the hens, he like pulls out one wing and then shuffles around him. Yeah, he's trying to tell the girl, like, look at me, I'm hot stuff. Males in our society buy shiny rocks and present those shiny rocks to women like, look at me, look what I got, I can afford this for you. And it's courtship. If you get rid of gender roles, you're going to eliminate, to a great degree, jewelry. People are doing tattoo rings instead. They're moving away from this. So I guess to break it down, what we're going to see is industry dependent upon gender roles are going to start becoming resistant and pushing back because they want to exist. Much like you mentioned in a previous segment, nonprofits have to keep moving forward with new groups to fight for. Industries that rely, like let's talk about honeymoon escapes, where they have rooms designed for a male and a female specifically. I mean, they're going to be like, what do we do in this new environment? Well, I think eventually you're going to see companies just come out and be like, no, we oppose this, because they don't want to cease to function.
I will admit, I think everyone loves gems. I don't know. No, maybe it's just me. But I think maybe it comes from that men hunted, and if they had a ring on their finger and they get it caught on a branch, it would rip their finger off. So they wanted as little encumbrance as possible. So they would store the gems with the wife. I don't know if that's really the history of why the woman had them and the man didn't. But then you look at like ancient kings and pharaohs, and they were all adorned with gems and jewels and things like that. So they may have a market with both. I mean, the age of hunting is essentially... hunting for necessity has dipped. Not that it's over, but we seem to be in a lull.
They're going anti-woke. That's that one particular jeweler. I tend to agree with Ian, because what's going to happen, these businesses are going to adjust to the new normal. And so, like, this is particularly acute in the black community. Our culture is so matriarchal. Women are at the head of the black community. I somewhat reluctantly have to admit that. And so what jewelers are going to start doing is they're going to create the custom of women buying gold chains for their men. They're just going to adjust their business model. Again, it's no different for me. I'm 54. I'm old. My dad always drove a Cadillac. I now watch sports events, and the Cadillac commercials now all feature black women mostly. They used to market it to black men. That was Cadillac. That was the joke. That was the stereotype. Black men drove Cadillacs. Cadillac has adjusted. Black women now drive Cadillac.
Is it working? Is the marketing working?
I don't know. I just know what I see, and I'm just when you watch car commercials and there are black people in it, they're catering towards the black woman primarily.
One thing a lot of people notice is that commercials will have mixed race families very often. Have you noticed this?
Oh yeah.
Well, of course there are more. What's the right word?
Same race marriages or.
Well, no. I mean, yes, but I mean, the people who complain about it tend to be more identitarian. So they're like, why are so many commercials now pushing this? And I'm like, whoa, slow down there, buddy. They're not pushing it. They're trying to make money off everybody. And my opinion is that they'll end up making money off nobody, right? So the point of the commercial is you mentioned black women with Cadillacs. I think it's fine if you want to market to whoever you want to market to, right? I was watching TV and a dating app commercial came on featuring interracial gay couples, and I said, look, I have no issue with interracial gay couples. Like, by all means, have your life, live your life. I'm just curious as to how much money they spent and how much money they think they'll make off of a market that is probably small. I'm not saying they shouldn't do it. They can do what they want. But it's interesting that the left position would be like, it's good they're doing this ad because of diversity, but are they advertising to a group of people that don't actually want their product, or there just aren't that many, there's not that many people to buy the product when you're trying to relate to them? So in the instance of marketing Cadillacs to black women, I'm wondering if a culture exists that has black women saying they want this vehicle, so when they see a commercial, they feel represented by it, or would they just be like, I don't want that car?
Well, I wonder if they're seeing their representation as, an interracial gay couple. That might not be who they're actually targeting. That might be who they're portraying in the commercial, but they might just be targeting the people who would just care about that sort of identitarian thing generally.
But I understand. However, and maybe it's just my assumption, I would imagine that, a young white woman might be like, oh, that's so nice. I'm going to use Bumble. Because, look, you're saying here's a product for you, and the you is someone that is not part of that demographic. So if the commercial said, our app is for everyone, male, female, LGBTQ, it didn't say that. It just said find love, and it showed, an interracial gay couple. And so I wonder if these companies will wokeify their marketing to the point where regular people will not feel represented by it. So in the point of the interracial couples in commercials, me personally, well, I don't care because I come from a family like that. So I'm kind of like, yeah, whatever. But if you're selling Kellogg's, they used to have commercials where it'd be a black family and they're giving the cereal to their children, or it'd be a white family. Now it's mixed, and I wonder if white families or black families see themselves in those families or just feel like that's not me.
I would think psychologically, if you have a successful solvent company in your marketing, you would allocate 10% of your marketing funds to off-market people that aren't part of your demographic. You'd probably do experimental campaigns here and there, but only if you're already successful. I can't imagine a company that is just starting up would try to market to people that they didn't think they were going to try and sell to. I had a question with you about gems really quick, Colin. Biologically, is there any evidence that men or women are more drawn to shiny objects?
I don't know specifically in humans, but there are a lot of species, a lot of insects as well that do these like gift giving. They call them nuptial gifts, and it's kind of funny because sometimes they're shiny, sometimes there's like a built-in bit of nutrition to it, but you also see like this cheating behavior where some male fly will try to give this gift that looks like it's containing all this nutrition, but it's actually hollow. It's sort of like the cubic zirconia version of like an animal trying to give, to dupe this female into like mating with them by giving them a hollow hollow gift.
It's usually men giving the gift to the woman.
It's almost exclusively the males.
And it's usually because they're seeking a mate to have a child with.
Yeah,
okay.
they woo them over.
And so I imagine the gem industry is probably similar to that then.
Yeah,
I want to add a point to Tim's deal or the conversation in terms of America, what these companies think they're doing and perhaps are doing. It's just like you talked about with the Democratic Party and their immigration policy. They're playing a long game. And so the primary values, freedom and individualism, used to define America. That's what everybody wanted. I want freedom and I want to be individual, do what I want to do. They're trying to make diversity and inclusion the primary thing, and so they're appealing to people that believe in inclusion and who define their identity around how inclusive am I. I'm inclusive of trans people, I'm inclusive of everything. And so that's what they're marketing. It's almost like marketing patriotism, and like the NFL and sports have sold themselves. This is the most patriotic thing you can do. Come to our game, stand for the national anthem, blah, blah, blah. Their inclusion now is like patriotism. And so these commercials are trying to hit the theme of inclusion because they think they've socially engineered Americans to believe there's nothing more American than being inclusive and tolerant and worshiping.
I wonder if there's a big ask element. I like inclusivity. I like diversity. I don't like equity. I think equity is a lie and a manipulation. But inclusivity, it's like, if I'm playing a game of dodgeball and I see a kid who's out, not hanging out with anybody, I'm the kind of person who's like, hey, dude, come over and hang out with us. Or I'm at a skate park and I see a kid who's by himself and be like, yo, you want to come over and play a game of skate? Like, we're all chilling, and what's your name? And try and include people. And I like building community. I like diversity in the truest sense. I like diversity of worldview and opinion. And the original concept of diversity was that someone who comes from a different community will have a different perspective than you. Not always, but sometimes. And so you can learn a lot from people that you don't know. Don't assume that other people can't teach you something.
The problem with inclusivity is too much of it is a bad thing. In that, if you have I was kind of an outsider growing up, and I thought, if I get popular, I'm never going to let someone be an outsider. I'm going to bring everyone in. And I tried that, and it became chaos. And it also as a chef, I'm an amateur cook, I'm a chef or whatever. But if you add every ingredient, it's a mess. You have to stop. You have to add specific ingredients. You use discretion when you're being inclusive. You have to. And that is a hard thing for people to accept, because it does mean that people get left out, and that's a sad thing. But it may be stronger in the long run.
The issue now is that these three words, diversity, inclusivity, equity, have all just been perverted. Well, for one, equity is garbage. Equality I like. Equity is some kind of equality of outcome instead of opportunity. But inclusivity was supposed to be about compassion. Now it's about homogenization. And diversity was supposed to be about different worldviews, and now it's just about homogenization. So you're not getting any of these things in this woke religion.
And too much inclusivity, like you were saying earlier, is you get the fringes that come in and then end up disrupting the very group you're trying to build.
Yeah, and if you look at what people mean when they say, like, we're creating an inclusive environment, just to turn this on its head, it basically means the opposite in many contexts. Like when I was when I was still in academia, and I wrote a paper for the Wall Street Journal called The Dangerous Denial of Sex, and it was about why sex is real and why it matters. I was told that I was not making the environment at Penn State inclusive, and that therefore means I needed to go because I wasn't making an inclusive environment. So I needed to be excluded in order to make an environment inclusive. So it can mean just the opposite.
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to watch live, you can check out this channel Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, and if you want more unfiltered and uncensored content with all of these guests, go to timcast.com and become a member. All of these guests you know and love in exclusive segments on our website where we are unrestricted in what we talk about, so you'll definitely not want to miss it. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you all next time.